Good morning. Almost forgot that the thing was ending, right? Oh man. So yesterday was a very busy day, both mentally and physically. Today is going to be more of the same, and figure I'd do a little shout out. Didn't do a live feed yesterday morning. I did do one Sunday night. Kind of went into the wee hours. We talked about some stuff that was outside of the trucking realm, and that went to members only. I figured the replay wasn't worth the darn. No, it was. It was a good discussion. Anyways, we'll get some more people in here. Notifications have gone out, so it just depends on how early you're up, right? Um, we've got a pretty busy day today. It's interesting learning things about people in this time of, struggle, I guess. And yeah, it. There's a lot of things that are on my mind, I guess. So I'm having trouble finding the words. But anyways, we'll do some shout outs for the 5 people that have chatted. DIY, good morning. DIY Semi is going to host a little book report roundtable discussion of the book, the 1 second after. And so keep an eye on his channel because I will be a part of that. I'm thinking either maybe tonight or tomorrow, DIY is when we'll be able to do it if your schedule so allows. Big Houston, good morning. Dale Worth, good morning. Jesse White, good morning. Sage News, good morning. Desert Okie Pam, CDN, top of the morning. So that works. Good deal. You know, Monday started with putting out a couple of fires when it comes to dispatch and safety. And um, I don't know how Jeff does it, to be honest with you. I don't know how DIY does it because it was everything I it was everything I can do to keep 3 drivers straight, you know. Um, Especially when we were looking, I was looking for loads, and I'm getting decent rates. My contacts have really come into play on this, so it's interesting. So once I can get streamlined, which CDN gave me some tools to learn how to streamline. Once I can kind of get that, I think the mental part is the biggest issue is getting the mental clarity for it. I've been struggling with that. So I've been struggling with mental clarity. Let's see. Good morning, Jerome. That's why I'm called and stressing. I'll tell you what though. Yesterday went fast, right? Yesterday went fast. I looked up and my wife was in the dining room here eating lunch, and then I looked up again. It was time for me to go out to the other house and deal with that. And I think I accidentally hung up on Jeff because we were having a conversation, and suddenly I got a urgent phone call from one of my drivers. So we had to deal with, but I don't know, DIY. What do you think is the biggest challenge of running a carrier? I would like to hear. I would like to know what that is. I mean, I'm not sure what your structure is. If you're structured like us, if all your guys choose their own freight or whatever. Um, Self dispatch is great. and this is where the title's coming from. Okay, guys, self-dispatch is great, but only on one condition. If you're honest with yourself, right? There's a lot of people that look on when I was running my truck how I ran, and when I was at Schneider, I was pretty laid back. I was maybe 400 miles a day, drop and hook, open windows, and I was always on the early part of the window. But I was never like in a situation where I had to do 1,200 miles in 2 shifts. It was never one of those deals. Now Landstar, that was a different story because of the way you had to run at Landstar. And let's get rid of this background, shall we? Let's see. Hold on. This background's annoying me. Maybe we'll switch it up. Here, we'll try that one. Let's see. That one maybe? Yeah, that one. That one's better. And there's a certain point where every business person, regardless of the platform, whether it's trucks, brick and mortar, and honesty has to come into play. And I'll explain here in a second. Wearing all the different hats at the same time. Yep. Bar, what's up? It's I'll give you an example, and I'll use myself as an example. When I first bought my first truck, that was back in 2014. I bought a 2009 Peterbilt 387, and I kind of got lucky with that truck. It didn't have a lot of the issues that can plague somebody when you buy your first used truck. And I did have a friend help me with looking at the truck when it came in, and going back, I should have learned. I should have probably requested different tires. I should have requested a couple of different things on that truck. But when you get a truck for $2,000 down, that's $51,000. There's really not much leverage there. You're going to get a piece of crap, right? And I like the 387s. The only thing I didn't like was not having the open door in the sleeper, so I can put my stuff in easier. But beyond that, and it was like a warehouse, with no shelves, right? There was nowhere to put anything. So I had shelves and all that kind of stuff in there, and it was just a mess. The 2 worst parts about that truck was it wasn't very fuel efficient. It was probably a high 6 at best. Every now and then 7 on an empty trailer or a light load. And the APU, of course. APU tried to kill me. And beyond that, it was a fairly decent truck. The worst thing that happened on that truck was a new turbo. That was it. And like I said, I'm having trouble finding words this morning. So it got to a certain point where I wasn't being honest with myself. I wasn't tracking my numbers, trucking office, right? I wasn't doing that. I wasn't approaching it like a business, because I'm going to do things my way. You can't tell me what to do, right? I was basically a truck driver with the truck payment. That's pretty much what I was. And through a little bit of luck, mercy, grace, and starting to learn the business and finding the right people to surround myself with, I found myself finally doing my numbers, finally approaching it like a business. You know, I switched from Landstar to Schneider, was able to get some consistency. So my failings as a salesperson, my failings to talk to the agents at Landstar, the failure to play the politics just right in Landstar, it was Schneider was a no-brainer. After, you know, that's where I met. Right before I did that, I met Jeffrey Light. He was calling me out on his videos, and he proceeded to kind of like, hey, here's the difference between Landstar and Schneider. I think that Schneider would be a great fit for you. And I had to differentiate with whether he was doing it because he really wanted to help me, or if he was doing it um, for the referral bonus. Because, you know, at the time that I was at Schneider, we were getting $3,000 for a referral bonus, $1,500 up front when they completed orientation, and $1,500 6 months later if they make it 6 months. And but over time, Jeff and I became good friends. It was more than just, hey, a referral bonus. So I started to trust him, and I was able to establish my business to the point that when it was finally ready to get rid of the truck, I got rid of the truck. As time goes on, I meet people who aren't being honest with themselves. You know, everybody's all doing this YouTube drama stuff about, oh, so and so's dishonest. So and so will go behind your back. So and so will record your calls. So and so will do this. So and so do that. They stole money. They took money. They gave money. Oh, or, you know, hey, my life is great here on on YouTube, but in the background, if you knew the real things, you know, it would devastate my channel, kind of stuff, right? And so everybody's quick to point out the dishonesty of of different people on social media, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Um, and you guys got to recognize that this is a platform that you know, we're presenting something, we're presenting an image, we're presenting information to you. You know, how can I tell you about how to run your business if I can't run my own business, right? And so my approach has always been, hey, these are the things that I stumbled on. These are the things that I've learned the hard way over the years. These are the things that could have taken me out, but by some grace of God or some luck, you know, they didn't. And some of it's because I put myself in a position where, you know, I I I calculate risk. You know, I do risk calculation quite a bit. Now, people, you know, there are people think that I live in fear, and that's not the case, because I don't. I truly, truly don't. Because I've learned to be honest with myself. I've learned that to establish foundations, um, to okay, I'm rambling here. I've learned to have certain goals, certain plans in place to kind of help other plans if they crumble, if they fall apart. You know, I once said that if Jeff was to ever get rid of me and no one else would have me, I have the skill sets now to have my own authority. But luckily, that hasn't happened yet. Luckily, Jeff is still happy with me, and luckily, things are going okay. And I think about the drivers that I see out there working, and I think about the drivers that are struggling, and I think about the drivers that are succeeding. And I think about human nature, right? Human nature, when we're all, you know, when we were all making 10 grand a week, you know, just throw a rock and get a load, you know, for $4 a mile. It made it very easy, and everybody was very boastful. I'm making, you know, $40,000 a month. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's pretty interesting that once the fuel started to go up and the rates started to go down, you start to see these house of cards crumble. And that's essentially what they are. And hold on a second. And sorry, I had to deal with something. And you have people that will step in your corner. You have people that will come in your corner and help you out. Like, you know, and sometimes it comes from a place of ego. Sometimes people want to go, you know, I'm awesome. Let me help you. Only to know that their thing is a house of cards as well. And there are people that truly like want to help you because they're just good people. Those are the people you need to surround yourself with. Now, if you bite the hand that feeds you, if you completely tell the people that are trying to help you that, you know, that truly care about what happens to you, your business, as a friend, and then you tell them that they're full of it, they don't know what they're doing, or you constantly fight them, you know, when I'm trying to micromanage something and then I'm constantly getting fighting back, that's a lack of gratitude, right? Don't come for me for help and then sit there and yell at me for doing so. That's not going to work. Because you can't be honest with yourself. And that's the thing. I'm starting to tell people create exit plans because you aren't going to make it. And the number one reason why you aren't going to make it, it's not the fuel prices, it's not the government, it's not it's not Mr. Biden, it's not it's not the brokers, it's not the regulations, it's you. You you are the reason why you aren't going to make it. Because you can't be honest with yourself. And so people get upset. People, like, maybe deep down inside they know it but refuse to admit it, so they lash out. They lash out at their friends, they lash out at their business partners, they lash out at um, their family, they'll lash out at on YouTube, they'll lash out on Twitter, right? Everybody's suffering or struggling on one thing or another, whether it be a mental, physical, or both, or financial. And a lot of people are, you know, we're being barraged with all this information. Hey, now there's this shortage, now there's this shortage, now there's this shortage, and you have the stress over problems that aren't even your problems yet, right? Honesty is the best policy. And at some point, you can't take care of everybody. You got to take care of yourself. And so that's kind of where my head's at. Chuck for Life, good morning. Fran, what's up? Eddie, good morning, Steve. Walmart orientation starts next Monday. We'll have another trailer available here at Q2L. Either going to sell it or put a driver under. Awesome, Eddie. Congratulations on the Walmart gig. Might be hard to run a carrier being a Walmart driver, but you know, it'll be a good shot. It'll be a good shot. But I believe that was a good I believe that was a good move, Eddie. That's good money. And as long as you're happy and you're driving new equipment, I mean, you're going to be good to go. Dutch, good morning. Steve, I believe thousands of owner ops and freight agents don't think they're a business and struggle accordingly. And you know, and CDM was and I were talking about this. I emailed him a load from an email that I had sent out to a broker. I said, hey, list me what's wrong with this load. And it was absolutely, he was right on it, you know, and it's like, I wish all brokers approach their jobs like CDN does. It would make the job of calling up a broker and asking, you know, info on a load or booking your own load, it would make that so much better. Not easier, but better, right? Because the number one thing that I have issues with when I call on loads, when I'm cold calling brokers, is a lack of professionalism. They answer, they don't even say who the name of the brokerage is, or their sound's off, or you can barely understand because of the thick accents. Um, which I believe that's why there's an uptick of email only freight on the load board, which is fine. I have no problem with that. Um, just like I imagine there's brokers that are frustrated with drivers that call up and whine and cry and get angry. You know, that there are shysters and there are brokers. There are shysters and there are drivers. And you got to kind of weed them out. And it's only through experience that this load that I sent CDN, like, hey, it's only through experience that within a minute I knew I didn't want that load. And I wanted to see if he saw the same issues, and he did. In fact, he went into more detail of something that I'm like, wow, that's more detail than, but it's only through experience that I recognize that. And that's the key. You have a lot of people in the spot market that don't have any experience on both sides of the phone, mind you. And therefore, they it brings the rest of us down. So something to think about. Shadow Wolf, good morning. How are you? Grafton, Tolga. Most people are cash flowing their business. I was doing it. If I had money in the account, I'm doing fine. This is where a lot of owner ops sit. That's true. I've been guilty of that myself, Eddie. I've done that. Especially did that at Landstar. And look, there were times like at Schneider, even at Schneider, I got a settlement or I got my referral bonus. Wow, I can kind of take it easy this week. At Landstar, I was like 5 grand on, 5 grand off. I make about 5 grand, then it was in my bank account, and I took it easy, not putting money back for the truck when it broke down, and that's being dishonest. You know, it's kind of like you're in that race and you see the finish line, you don't think anybody's near you, so you kind of slow down and you kind of wave, and then you trip, someone runs right over you and hits the finish line. It's kind of what that's like, right? Fran, Jeff will never get rid of you. You're an asset to the company. Well, I hope so. There are times when I don't feel like I am, but there are times when I do know my worth. And so I guess it just depends on my mood. Pale Rider, what's up, man? Man, I gotta say, seems if you got the camera thing down real good. Awesome, great bokeh and camera set. Thank you, Shadow Wolf. This is a like a $40 Logic cam, and I got the $40 stream or ring light, and got the $40 background thing going on. Pigtail, good morning. Pigtail and I talk a lot about honesty, right? About people not being honest with their numbers, not being honest with their business. The Hool, what's up? Salute. This topic is spot on. A reminder to take a gut check. And look, that's the reality, right? Buffering, but that's not on my end, I guess. I don't think anybody else is having any issues. I've got my live feed on both different phones here, and it seems to be okay. Good morning, bro. Smile, Orion. Did you like my video, guys? I posted a YouTube video on my community page and on Facebook. It's a scene from Peaky Blinders, and I was afraid to post it on Facebook until I finished the series, because I didn't want to be going, "Oh man, it sucks what happened," you know. And bravo to Peaky Blinders, bravo to that show. But yeah, there's a scene. Oh man, you guys got to check it out. So go to my community page and you'll see the video clip I'm talking about. It's related to what we're talking about today. Steve, I have the reverse issue. Dispatchers call and just how much I'm paying without asking any questions about the load. CDN, money is the last thing I talk about. When as a dispatcher, I'll call on a load. Hey, I'm calling your load from St. Louis to Dallas, Texas. I was wondering if that was still available. Yep, it's 40,000 pounds. Delivers 8 a.m. tomorrow. So I sigh and I go, okay, so what's the product? It's recycled aluminum. Okay. What time does it pick up? Oh, it picks up anytime between now and 2 o'clock. Okay. What kind of rate are you looking at? Have them set the acre. But I got to figure out if I can do it first. The reason why there was a time where I preferred the Ubers and the convoys is because I had all the information. I knew who the customer was. I knew who the products were. I knew the times. And if I knew the customers, I knew the leniency of the times, right? Sometimes you have an appointment time that's just kind of a formality, right? It's like, your appointment's at 2, but as long as you're there by 4, you're good. And usually it's because they don't want to overbook too many trucks for that day. And so there's a shipper in St. Louis that was like that. The empty oil bottles I used to take to West Virginia. And it was like that. And Schneider one time called me like, hey, I noticed you were late. I said, yeah, but relax. It was this, and this. We're like, oh, okay. And what it was a truck issue that it had. And I told him, I said, look, they said as long as I'm there by 3, I'm good. And that's why Schneider wanted you to call. Like, call Schneider to see if they'll let you come in at 3 when your appointment's at 1. Because they want to know what's up. They don't want to just leave you to your devices, right? But that's how I approach it. Details first, and then we talk money. Because if I'm a broker and I got a driver says, I'll do it for $2,000. Well, you don't even know what the pickup and delivery times. How do you know that you can even legally do it? How do you know that it's not like 800 miles in one day, which we've seen posted? Oh, I got a load picking up in St. Louis, Missouri on Monday, and it delivers Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. in Butte, Montana. It's kind of like, what? Are you dense? Do you not know? Do you think it's 1986 right now, where you can just grab 2 logbooks and you're good to go? And then you got the drivers that will, oh yeah, I can make that delivery time, knowing that they can't. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, Mr. Broker or Mrs. Broker, I got a flat tire. There's a fatality accident on I-10. That doesn't do good for your business too. Can't work on a solution until you're honest about the problem. Thank you, Pigtail. That is 100%, as Tolga has also pointed out. Shannon, good morning. I keep hearing about this dev shortage, and to be honest with you, I'm sick of it, but I keep seeing it on Facebook. I say it's fake news. Well, I'm not out there in the trenches, so it's. Now, I know it was legit in Korea. There was some footage of that, but, so A fireman is just not valuable when fighting a fire, right? Camera quality looks amazing. That's funny. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's the same camera I've always had. Tolga, Peaky Blinders, whiskey is great. Oh, they got their own whiskey, Orion? Huh. You'll have to send me a bottle of that. What does work for me running my broker agent on quarters? I cover my costs, pay my family every 2 weeks a set amount. At the end of the quarter, I pay my tax installment and GST. Review plan versus actual. There you go. Mr. Charles, good morning. Famous last words of a broker or shipper. The last 5 drivers did it. Oh, yeah. Those words are death sometimes, right? Those words are, well, I just covered this load. I cover this load all the time for $2,000. I'm like, okay, but and I've called brokers out on that. I'm like, okay, well, volumes. There's 800 loads within a 50-mile radius. If anything changes, let me know. Here's my number, and give it to them, even though they probably got caller ID. And then usually 5 minutes later, hey man, you know what? I just talked. We're gonna go ahead and do it. They want to make sure that that this isn't normal. Yeah, you know what? I talked to my boss, really needed a slow move, and you've been good to talk to on the phone, so I'll go ahead and give you $3,000. Because they don't have the patience or the time to wait for that guy. They're like, oh, $2,000, okay. So knowing your numbers, right? Knowing your numbers. And I love the brokers that go, well, sir, what would you need on that? And then I give them my number, like, oh, and you could hear oh crap, that didn't work. In their voice. It's actually kind of a sport to me now. There was a time where I was frustrated calling brokers all the time, but now I'm like, I revel in it a little bit. So, and look, and I know when I've been had, and they know when they've been gotten, right? There was one broker, nice lady. I had very little leverage for it was one of my new carriers, and but I went in there like I had some leverage, and she used a couple of tactics. I kind of figured out what she was doing, but I went ahead and decided not to fight her. And then she admitted that she had been with that brokerage for 9 years. I'm like, yeah, you know what you're doing. I would rather work with someone who knows what they're doing for a little bit less money than the person that has no idea what they're doing and hope that things go right for big money. So, Mr. Rogers, good morning. And so now, so if I'm booking loads, dealing with unprofessional brokers is a challenge, right? That's a challenge. But I have to have faith in my drivers as well to go, yep, we'll get that done. We'll have that there. And that's another element for another day. So, Chucky, did I say good morning to you? Good morning. On the flip side, a carrier will call me and I give the rate and their train increase 1,000. I asked for a breakdown. They said this is what they got paid before. I replied, great call, the last broker. Great call, the last broker. That's part of the negotiation, right? So, and then that's where again experience comes in, right? So I used to run Pennsylvania all the time. I do know that tolls for a 40,000 plus pound load from New Stanton to say Mechanicsburg is close to $200, if not more now. I haven't kept up with the latest price increases. Even though I only run the area on a rare blue moon, and when I do, it's a light load, I am aware of what it used to take to get there because I've been all the states except Nevada. And and that's part of my breakdown. Well, it's I'll sit there and use terms like well, it's a dead area. I'm gonna struggle to get out, or I'm looking at a lot of deadhead to get out. We've got about $200 in tolls. We need that covered. If you're a reefer, the truck's going to require a washout, yada, yada, yada yada. You know, I mean, there's so many different things to use leverage for. And it also presents the broker that you kind of know what you're doing. You're not just like, $2,000. Well, I'd like to have 25. Well, why? Well, because I deserve it. I deserve 2,500 to go 800 miles. You know, what makes you deserve it? And most people can't even answer that question. Well, because I'm a trucker and trucking is hard. Okay, well, so is being a cop, but you're making more money than a police officer, right? You're making more money than the military people do. Well, some military people, that's hard. So, you know, you want to talk about deserving. You don't deserve squat. Life gave you one thing, oxygen at the beginning of life, and that's it. After that, it's on you, right? After that, it's on you and everything else. It's, you know, to kind of go into place. CPAP, good morning. Let's see. They reply they don't have the same load this week. I reply, I knew that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be calling. Not all shippers pay equal, right? Trucker Jason, you have to, you know, good morning. You have to enjoy the sport, right? If you get familiar with certain lanes, then you got an idea of what the rate should be when negotiating. Absolutely. And look, and so let's say I go, hey, I'm looking at this load from St. Louis to Mechanicsburg, PA. I'm going to need this for tolls. I'm going to need this for fuel. I'm going to need this for, you know, time if I'm going to go around tolls. And then the broker's like, well, sorry, sucks to be you. I can't give you more for tolls and I can't give you more for fuel. Okay, well, have a nice day. If that leverage doesn't work, then you got to move on to a different area. And that's the other part. You know, so many guys at Schneider were like, they call me up, Steve, what do I do? All my normal loads are gone. Okay, well, find one load and then go to where the loads are. You know, and Steve Berger used to do great videos about how to do that and the mindset to do that. Sometimes you got to run out. I've had to run out of my area, my normal area, because the Midwest has kind of turned into a, I don't know, Indiana has been kind of a struggle to get out of here lately. And then fuel is above $6 a gallon out there now. But you're right, CPAP. And CPAP's learning. He's been in the spot market a minute, right? Let's see. Life gave an opportunity. That's what you deserve, right? There you go. There you go. You got to know your worth, and I ain't worth much. So, come on, CPAP. And see, CPAP, I hope you don't convey that lack of confidence when you call a broker, because that little bit of confidence, man, not ego. Some people call, I deserve $4 a mile because I have this beautiful truck and I've been doing this for 40 years and I've been doing this and this, you know, so I deserve, you know, if you can't pay the $4,000, you're a piece of crap, right? Don't be that guy. But also, you know, have some confidence. Like, hey, man, I'm blessing you with my presence. And you are so lucky I called you to do this load for you because, you know, most drivers are kind of below me. You know, or no, you don't want that. Again, that's ego. But like, no, look, I'm confident that I can get the load done for you on time without any issues. I've got good equipment. I've got good work ethic. I've got good time management skills, and I'm going to get the load done for you at a reasonable rate. What say you? That's the confidence you need, right? You identify as a handsome millionaire. So do I. So do I. Good morning, Red Diesel. Fuel in Ohio was $6.18 a gallon at the Loves near Columbus. Wow. Simple interview question. Sell me this pen. Yep. That's a great lesson there. Good morning, John. And look, if you don't have that confidence, that's where a guy like me comes in, right? You know, I had a driver say, "Hey, Steve, I need you to dispatch me this week because I'm tired of talking to these brokers. I just want to kind of just lay low and and just keep me in these ranges and these realms, and I'll carry the rest. And there's no micromanaging because the driver already knows how to manage his time, and and we talk over boundaries. How many miles you're willing to do a day? What are your needs? Do you need to be above a certain amount? And then you try to explain to them it's about part of the bigger picture. For every load that you're doing under your cost, you're going to have loads that go over your cost, and at the end of the month or end of the week, it should balance out. Some good loads come out of Chicago to Cleveland along I-80, some out of Davenport, Iowa to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. If I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. You're absolutely right. Chicago to Cleveland is good lane. However, you got the cost of the tolls to deal with. I know Toledo can be kind of sketchy at times. Some Davenport to Cedar Rapids. Let's see. Iowa's on the list of states that require interstate, so you got to be careful with those. So if your carrier has it or doesn't have it. CPAP, I tell them YouTube superstar and then they hang up. Yeah, well, last thing you want to do is trust a YouTuber. Trust me. Oh man, this will sound silly, but smile when the phone rings. When you start with a smile, guaranteed your tone will be softer. Call will always go better. That's true. I believe that. You can just hear the scowl on the phone, right? You can just hear the scowl, like someone kicked his dog. Click. All right. So, but being honest with yourself. And there's a lot of people that are starting to figure out that, you know what, your business may not be as where you want it to be. And if you're not honest with yourself, how can you fix the problem? There's a friend of mine who went through AA years and years ago. He said that they have this thing you put on the mirror that says you're looking at the root of your problems. It's on the mirror. And of course, I made the joke, the mirror is the root of everybody's problems. No, the reflection. Who's it showing? Of course, I was being a smartass, but that's true with anything. When it comes to addiction, when it comes to knowing your numbers, when it comes to knowing your work ethic, what's required. If you're, if you got a lot of debt, guess what? You might have to stay out a month to get things done. You may have to run a little bit harder than you're normally used to. You might have to go to some places. Look, if someone said, "Hey, Steve, I'll give you 30 grand to take your truck into New York City. You'll have a map of exactly where you need to go, and you've got, an open window on the delivery. Let's make it happen." Well, guess what? I'm going to figure it out because that would solve, that would make things a lot easier, right? And so I could sit here and say, well, I'm not going to New York City ever. And I've been to New York City in a truck, just as a passenger, not as a driver. And so I know it's not easy, right? But I'd be willing to do it if it solves problems, and money solves problems. It really does. But it only solves problems if you know what the problems are. And if you can't be honest with yourself, how do you fix that? If you don't know where the dam is leaking, how can you fix the dam? Damn it. I don't miss going to Chicago. There are suburbs of Chicago like Aurora. It's got good freight. Yes, anything outside of the loop there, Aurora, Joliet, Bolingbrook, and look, I've delivered to the Chicago Tribune right there. You can throw a rock and hit the Sears Tower. I mean, I've been there. I've done that. Shannon, you're right. CDN smiles are heard in the conversations. Absolutely. A lot of loads that pay well comes with some sacrifice, night deliveries, tailgating, etc. Yes, that is absolutely true. That is true. And look, if you don't want to run overnights and you've set your business around that, then fine. That's the difference, right? We can all sit there like, well, Steve, he's a solar driver. He never works hard. Well, two things. I've established my home life. to where I can get away with that, number one. Number two, if I have to do it, I can. And I have and I will, right? That's the difference. Most people are like, I refuse to run nights, regardless of the money, regardless of this, regardless of that. You know, and I used to have a thing where I'd break my own rules and I get upset, but man, the money was good. Like I never go into New York City, but for the right money, I will. Now 30 grand is a little extreme. I don't think anybody's. If someone wants to pay me 30 grand to go to New York City, there's probably a catch to it. So you know, but just saying, use that as an example. Steve, one day when you have a bad broker, start replying to them in your death metal voice. It would hilarious to see the broker's face. I can't do that voice anymore, CDM. That's why I've retired. I wish there was more loads going to Wisconsin so I could be home more. Trucker for life. Bless you, man. We have a trailer right now, right here in good old Springfield, Mo. I wish whatever complications were happening could be remedied so you can get a shot over here, right? Because I'm telling you, with every fiber of my being, there is a steady stream of freight between Missouri and Wisconsin and back. And those two states have the cheapest fuel right now, or some of the cheapest fuel. So that's you know, I won't go into the whole Landstar thing because Landstar struggled to have freight in my area. And what I realized is that all the Landstar drivers that were already here, they had already established those lanes, and those loads never hit the load board. Boulder Woods, top of the morning, just finished the AM 1 mile walk. Goal is 3 miles a day. I need to get into a groove like that. Instead, I'm on here on YouTube, talk about stuff that I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just haven't seen the right money to go to New York City, right? There you go. My truck going to the shop today. Well, I hope everything goes well there, Shannon. Hush, Steve. It's interesting dealing with different drivers too. You see the different personalities. You kind of see how people have built their businesses, and you kind of see what their faults are and what their strengths are, and you have to utilize both, right? If I have a driver that only wants to do 200 miles a day, well, I hope that they've established their business to be around 200 miles a day, and I can make that happen. But on occasion, there might be a load that might make you put 300 miles in the day. And if that can't be done, then you have to look up a different line of work. Trucking's not for the weak. I know that trucking made me a stronger person, both mentally and well, I would say physically, but it damaged me physically. But once I fixed the mental part, I was able to fix the physical part, and still in progress, right? Let's see. CPAP, get a reefer. A lot of reefer loads come and go to Wisconsin. Yes, cheese is glorious. Don Schonger, good morning. Cascade, what's up? Good morning, TJ. Had point. There you go. 1/10 of a mile. Good deal. Looking to rail transportation. They are based in Marshfield. Jason, yeah, Truck for Life. He is a owner operator over at Landstar. So, is there a way to learn what tolls will be when looking at a trip? There's some apps out there, Shannon. I know that the 123 low board has some toll calculations if you get the premium. I don't know how accurate they are because I don't use them. Because I pretty much try to stay off tolls, except for Oklahoma. And Oklahoma tells you when you enter the state $20. They keep raising it like $1 a year. So by this time next year, it's going to be like $50 probably with the way things are going. All right, guys, we'll do this. Not too long, but we'll put the link out there. If you want to come in and tell me how honest or dishonest you are, there you go. If you don't want to come in, I'll end the feed and you guys can go about the rest of your morning. because I have things to do as well. So we can't get into a 2 hour long, discussion that's an echo chamber. I don't want to get into one of those. But at the same time, if you have some insight on what I've said, or if there's some things that I missed, feel free to approach the podium and say your words. I will have this truck paid off in 5 weeks. I can't wait. Will Truck for Life? Fine, never mind. What? What are you talking about? Oh, probably talking too long. Sea Green, what's up? Toll Guru. There you go. There's an app, Shannon. 5 weeks, man. And look, I'm going to give Truck for Life some credit here. He has a Schneider Finance truck with the Schneider Finance payment, and he's making it work at Landstar at 65%. Think of what he can do with 80% at a paid off truck. Think about what he can do there. No 2 hours, right? That's wonderful. Congratulations. Nothing witty. Oh, well, that's an example of Sage being honest. There you go. Sage knows he's a talker, right? I remember one time I had him and CDN on the phone. I don't think I said a word in like 20 minutes. And finally I had to go and I just hung up on both of them. Like, they won't miss me. And I wondered, and I often wondered how long they talked before they realized I was off the phone. Because I wasn't the one holding the call. Somebody else was holding the call. So just had a coffee with a Polish truck driver. He got a fine for tampering with a speed limiter, €2,000 for him, and the speed limiter has to be calibrated. So 4 days down at a minimum. Wow. Can't mess with the government. Were you there? In reality, if anyone's looking at creating a carrier or becoming an owner op, spend time on the low boards to know the rates in your desired lanes and put pen to paper, see if the numbers work. There you go. That's pretty much it, right? Sea Green, congrats. I'm on the same path at Landstar. Good deal. And it is possible. Look, and Truck for Life's been through hell and back. I mean, he's got a channel. Go check it out. I don't know if he's uploaded anything here lately, but 65% of 280 or 80% of $2. There you go. Cascade knows his numbers. He knows the math, right? There was a buddy of mine that got on Facebook and saw that somebody was like, for only a fee, you get 100%. And they had this fee and this fee and this fee. And when he did all the math, you actually were getting only 72% of the load. So, the way things are worded are important, right? For us, 80%, if you're getting all your own insurance and everything, 80% is 80%. So, and then you get a longevity bonus the longer you're here. So, but anyways, looks like no one wants to come in, so we'll end this feed. Look, the reality is this: you have to be honest with yourself. If your business is failing, you need to figure it out. And if you don't, then one day you're looking at a repossession or bankruptcy and you don't know why, because you weren't honest with yourself. I wanted to get another pickup. I decided that I didn't want to do that because I was being honest with the fact that, it's going to require this and this, and I'm not willing to do that at this point in time. And then there's some things coming down the line that could be an issue. So, and do your homework. Shannon is a perfect example of someone who's done her homework. Her and I have had some good conversations. Cascade is another one that's done his homework. CDN definitely does his homework. So, and so anyways, and don't let emotions get the best of you, people. Don't let others cloud your judgment. Don't let the internet cloud your judgment. Don't let anybody cloud your judgment. You need clarity, and there's things that you can do for your clarity. So when it comes to your health and physical and mental health, so it's all tied in, right? spiritual health as well. So I hate homework, but I love the business, Mr. Charles. Let's I don't know why it takes a while for the comments to come in. I hate homework, but love the business, right? Another factor of being honest is if you're just chasing the next highest paying load, you're not seeing the big picture. And a lot of people are struggling with that right now because that next load may not be the biggest load you've ever done. They can't all be home runs. You could be a home run master, but the ability to cope when you're only hitting base hits, that's key, right? What do you do when, you know, fuel is creating a situation where you can strategize your fuel stops, you can get the most fuel efficient truck, but that's still a caught, you can keep your right foot out of it. But a lot of people are having to be honest with their numbers because of the fuel prices. What number is it that's going to take you out? What number is it going to make you go, you know what, this ain't worth it anymore? I'm only getting 10 cents a mile profit or however. You could be given a lower paying rate with a broker who's consistently. Yep. Consistency is key. Trust me on that. I know. So, and that's what I try to establish for the drivers that I dispatch is consistency. There are times when I don't even look at a low board. I got everybody booked. That's a fact. That's truth right there. So, at any rate, thanks for watching. I appreciate the people commenting. I've got to get to work. I've got things to do both here and at the other house, and you know, look, we're in that. Everybody's been saying it's going to be a rough ride. It's going to be a rough. The rough ride's here, people. It's here. And, you can sit there and say, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, guess what? It's still here. The squall line is hit, and it's about to get bumpy. So that's just this. If you're not efficient with your time, and you're not willing to put in the extra work or the extra hours, it's time to get honest with yourself, right? Remember, when you work a new broker, they won't reveal ALM loads, all their loads, until you've shown confidence as a carrier. That is absolutely 110% true. Fuel and higher cost maintenance are realities we need to recognize and sue best to minimize that impact. Why do we have to sue best? That's weird. It's not his fault. Another good one, Steve. Pam, thank you very much. Look, guys, stay strong, stay aware, be honest with yourself, and yeah, that's all there is to it. So I'll leave you with this. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Peace.